Hello and welcome to the next introduction, part 3 to the HeartQuest Heart Rate Variability System. I'm Dr. Michael Kessler, and today we're going to go through a little bit more information, okay? I want to give you a little history about the HeartQuest, and it really was a full body analysis, including heart rate variability. So it wasn't just straight heart rate variability. It had lots of other information, as you will see as we go through this series. It was initiated in 1968 by the USSR Navy to track these submariners in that tin can there to see how well they can adapt to stress. Now, many top scientists worked on this project. It was developed, for the military, not just for the submariners. And a lot of money went into this. A lot of different scientists worked on this. A lot of mathematicians worked on this project to be able to track a person's total health and how well they can adapt and regulate their body under stressful situations. Then today, it's constantly being improved by Dr. Karamov. So this is about our 10th upgrade. And when you get one of these systems, you get the upgrades, no extra cost, right? And here's one of the scientists, this smiley face guy here, Yuri Smirnov. And what he says is each change in the rhythm of the heart represents a reflection in changes in other organs and regulatory systems. Interesting. That kind of sounds like Chinese pulse diagnosis in Chinese medicine, where this TCM practitioner is measuring a pulse. Over here, he's measuring uh, using TCM to figure out what's going on with the rest of the body by measuring the pulse. It takes years to learn how to do that. And all this information really is coming from the rhythms of the heart. But we can do that objectively using an ECG. So the HeartQuest is able to do this objectively using modern science ECG technology to give us information from the heart that reflects what's going on with all organ systems of the body. Now, this is one of the pages in our technology, and it's looking at all the scientific parameters that we know about from heart rate variability. That's in the science. And within those numbers, there's a lot of really, really good information here, but who can really relate to that? The physicians don't relate to that, and neither do the patients. They're just plain numbers. So what we did is we converted this to a visual picture, okay? And so I'm not going to go into all the screens today. I'm just going to go into this a little bit. And what we're looking here at this pie, in this yellow part of the pie, is the sympathetic nervous system. And that's called low frequency primary sympathetic nervous system, 18%. This is your high frequency range parasympathetic nervous system, 27%. And this is your very low frequency neurohormonal regulation backup system. We'll talk about that. And so this comes from something called the human frequency spectral diagram. And the way we get this information is from something called fast-Fourier transform, where we break down the EKG signal into its individual frequency band components that give us very specific physiological information. In this case, the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, and this is really your HPA axis and its downstream hormones and the negative feedback loop. And that's kind of taking over here, and we'll talk about that because there's a big percentage of this here, and that has some major implications. And then we're able to, on any time that we want to compare one treatment to the next, we can bring up any date right next to it and do comparisons. And in this case, you don't know that yet, but whatever treatment that was performed on this patient balanced it. Look, because there's a better parasympathetic and sympathetic, and just the right amount of neurohormonal regulation here. And so when you click on the icon here, it will bring down this page so you can see, and it says, wow, this is what that one looked like after we treated. Relatively balanced state. So it's showing that this is a normal regulatory state here between sympathetic, parasympathetic, and your HPA axis. As we look down, we can see other pictures here. This would be somebody who's more sympathetic dominant. We're going to be talking about that in the next, probably the fourth webinar on the series, because these are little short webinars here. And this is the parasympathetic nervous system. This is somebody who's more parasympathetic dominant. And this is somebody who's more their neurohormonal regulation system is kind of taking over, and there's not much autonomic regulation here. This is kind of what we call block regulation. And we're gonna we don't really want to see as much red here, because that means that this is a kind of a slower regulation system of the body versus something that's very fast. We call that fast speed regulation. In the yellow and green, that's your autonomic nervous system, versus this is kind of like snail mail as far as the way it regulates the physiology. And we'll talk more about that. So here we just did a little therapy on a patient using auricular therapy, which is acupuncture of the ear. And we're using a little device that could find the points and then stimulate those points. And the points we want to stimulate to increase the regenerative and healing capacity of the body would be the Shen Min, the 0 point, maybe the vagus nerve point, and there's a couple other ones. And here we are. So we did this because we wanted to see and compare. And when we looked here, we could see the stress index. Now, what is the stress index? That's an index that tells us how hard is that nervous system having to work to achieve balance. And the range is between 10 and 100. It's 100. It's at the high end, but after we did the auricular therapy, it dropped it into to 95. Again, here's the range, 10 to 100. So it improved the stress index. It took a little stress off the nervous system, right? But what we were really trying to do is increase this 8% high frequency range, and we did. It brought it up to 14%. And so the person has a little bit better ability to regenerate and heal and reduce inflammation. Because there's something here in the parasympathetic nervous system. There's one of the major nerves that runs through that is the vagus nerve, the wandering nerve, because it covers so much ground. It's the longest nerve in the body. Regulates a lot of organ systems in the body. And it produces, there's something called the cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway, and we want to stimulate that. And we want a lot more tone in this green section, this parasympathetic nervous system section, and we did that. And we also look over here, and it says autonomic nervous system balance index. It's 200. So it's way over what we see in parentheses here by 30. Here's the normal range, 35 to 145. It's 200. And now it's dropped it. It's still not in range completely, but it did drop it. Better improvement. So whether you're a chiropractor, whether you're doing, you're a certified clinical nutritionist, whether you're doing TCM and are doing Chinese acupuncture, or you're a functional medicine physician, or you like to practice Ayurvedic medicine, you need an objective way to track your patient's health. You need to be able to show them visually that the systems of the body, showing what systems of the body are needing support. And HQ gives you information on how to balance the areas that need help. So I want to thank you for listening today. And to contact us, call Dr. Kessler at 415-646-6112 or Dr. Karavmoff at 503-901-8336. And again, you can email us at this email address that you see here. And for more videos and ordering information, you can go to our website at www.hrvhq.com. And we will continue producing these, and we're going to go into a little bit more depth on the next webinar. I want to thank you for listening.